Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to discuss conventions and rules for point of view. Writing in the first, second, and third person point of view. When do you use all of these? Which ones do you not use? So let's get started then. Talk straight about it. So anytime we're talking about point of view, and we're mostly talking about pronouns, all right? So you're either write in the first, second, or third point of view. Our first person point of view pronouns, we have I, singular, we, plural, right? Or our if we're talking about, or my if we're talking about pronouns in the predicate of the sentence. The second person, we have you. It sounds very Appalachian here, but technically the correct second person plural is you all. And third, he, she, it, they. These are our pronouns for point of view. So you might ask yourself, when is the correct time? When is the correct time to use each one of these points of view? So I will say this, it is technically never, ever correct to use the second person point of view in any type of formal academic writing. So never use the second person, ever. There's one exception to this rule. Let's say, for instance, that you want to directly address the reader in the conclusion of your paper. Maybe you're calling for the reader to take some type of action. Well, in that case, if you've shown through the whole rest of the paper that you didn't use the second person point of view, that's a case where it's okay to break the rules. But other than that, you never want to directly address the reader and say you or you all in a paper. It's just not good form. It goes against all conventions of style. So the first person, when do you use the first person? When do you use I and we? So this one is a little tricky. Some of you guys might have heard before that to never use the first person either in writing. Well, I don't think that's true. There's times where it's okay to use the first person. If it's kind of a more personal paper, like let's say you're writing a personal narrative, right? That would be a case where using the first person is acceptable. If you're writing a paper, some type of analysis paper where they ask you to bring in your own examples, well, that's a case where it's okay to use the first person. In my English 101 course, most of the papers in there, you can use the first person. So using first person depends on circumstance. Is it conventional to use the first person depending on what type of assignment you're doing? If you're in my technical writing course, you don't want to use the first person in that course. You want to keep your prose objective as much as possible. But if you're in my English 101 course, you probably can use it. So I tend to be a little loose as far as whether you use it or not, except in technical writing. Technical writing, it's not conventional to use it. And I'll say this too, you never want to use the first person in the sciences either. If you're doing something like a lab report or something like that, you never want to insert yourself into it. So definitely stay away from it in scientific writing. But for more humanities oriented writing, it's sometimes acceptable. And then the third person, he, she, it, they, this is called the objective point of view. right? The objective point of view. So if this is what you want to stick to if you're doing technical writing. This is what you want to stick to for the most part. Let's say you're doing an argument paper in a 101 course, perhaps. That would be the style you would want to stick to. If you're doing a paper for a literature course, you would want to stick to that. So the only times that it's weird to write in the third person is when you're talking about yourself. Like if you're talking about yourself, you don't want to refer to yourself in the third person. That's just kind of weird, right? So for the most part, the third person is what you tend to want to stick with. So it's fine. It's what they use in the sciences. It's used in mostly in the humanities, with some exceptions for the first person. So this is the objective point of view. Stick to this as much as you possibly can. Okay, but some assignments, like narratives, like I said, you have to use the first person. It would be weird if you didn't. So hopefully that explanation suffices. Hopefully you guys now know the conventions, you know when to use all these different points of view and when not to. Some English teachers, as I said, some English teachers sometimes say never to use this one. I would say that's wrong. But you can use it under certain circumstances. So that's it for this video, guys. Until next time, take care. Good luck with your writing.